What is popping, YouTube? Back again with another video. Today we are re-looking at what happened yesterday in the first round of the NFL draft, and we are doing an updated first round Superflex mock draft that I'm going to give you some of my insights. Going to be talking about what has changed based on my pre-draft landing spots. And without further ado, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're putting out videos each and every day, trying to help you become a better Dynasty fantasy football player, and let's go. Like I said, we're talking about these landing spots and what has changed in my rankings. Yesterday was so great. There was so much good action, and tonight there's even more good action. But without further ado, my 101 is going to be Bijan Robinson, still drafted to the Atlanta Falcons at pick number 8. A lot of people are going to say, well, there's Drake London, there's Kyle Pitts there. Arthur Smith loves to use his running backs. Tyler Algier just hit the pay dirt. Hopefully they still use him because we don't want Bijan Robinson getting 30 touches a game. We would love to see him be really efficient and be able to get some more longevity out of him. Also, considering the fact that all the NFL analysts were saying, oh, it's smarter to draft a running back in the second or third round. You don't need to be spending up at that type of position. Still good on Bijan Robinson. If we think of all the first round running backs, especially in the early first round, we're talking about the Zekes, the Lenny Fournette, the CMCs, the Saquon Barkleys of the world. Like, Bijan Robinson is in that category and is still going to be my 101 in Dynasty Superflex mock draft. But I will say this. At the 102, we have Anthony Richardson going to the Indianapolis Colts. We did say this, that if Anthony Richardson got that top 5 draft capital, that he was going to be our QB1. And he did. And he went to the Colts, which honestly I feel like is the best situation out of any of these quarterbacks in the first round. Anthony Richardson has the rushing upside, and I can only imagine a read option with him and Jonathan Taylor in the backfield with Shane Steichen. Is he going to be the best NFL quarterback? No. Would I prefer the other two that were selected ahead of him? Yes, but we are playing fantasy football. We're playing dynasty fantasy football. And knowing that Anthony Richardson getting top 5 draft capital means that he is going to at least get 2 to 3 years chance to become an elite level asset and a really good NFL quarterback. We're taking that shot all day at the 102. At the 103 is where I will be taking CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud was my 101 quarterback in the class. I was getting a little bit nervous as we were hearing the rumors of his test scores weren't so great. Where's he going to land? It lands with the Houston Texans. Houston Texans have been a poverty franchise the last few years. But the fact that they traded up to also get Will Anderson at pick 3, they're cementing their offense and defensive leaders. They're going to be changing the culture there in Houston. Now we just need to hope that they can get some weapons over the next few years for CJ Stroud to be electric. I do like that selection for CJ Stroud a lot better than my 104 will be Bryce Young. I do like the situation in Houston a little bit more than I like it in Carolina, but still, Bryce Young becoming the first overall quarterback taken off the board. You have to respect that. Bryce Young will still be a second round startup draft pick. So I do appreciate all of those kind of things. Knowing the upside shots with Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud, I prefer those two guys over Bryce Young currently in my mock, but at the 104, I will be taking Bryce Young. At the 105, keeping it pretty streamlined, I'm still taking JSN to the Seattle Seahawks. Now, people are going to be saying, I think 105 is where a lot of people will be debating what the value is there. I heard a lot of people talking, well, should you be taking the running back here? I'm still taking JSN. He is my wide receiver 1. Knowing the longevity at the position, the Seattle Seahawks were not a bad landing spot for JSN. It could have been worse. Could have been the Baltimore Ravens like we had all been predicting. It wasn't the Chargers that we were all hoping for, but we will gladly take the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith as the quarterback, DK Metcalf on the one side, and being able to learn from Tyler Lockett. I know Tyler Lockett's getting up there in age, but even if Jason comes in as the wide receiver 3, overtakes the wide receiver 2 position by midway through the year, that's going to be something that's super valuable and still should be a top 12 dynasty wide receiver heading into this offseason. At my 106, I will be taking Jahmyr Gibbs, who went to the Detroit Lions in that top 15 draft capital situation. A lot of people are going to say, well, Caleb, Jahmyr Gibbs, he did get the draft capital, but didn't the Lions make a mistake? Well, I'm saying this. The NFL is changing. They looked at those guys and they said those are elite level running backs, and so they took him. And the fact that Bijan Robinson was only selected 5 picks earlier says how the NFL community valued Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs as 2 elite level running backs. As I'm talking about this, I do want to say I'm not worried about David Montgomery at all. Now, David Montgomery got that huge contract for the Lions. Swift's going to be out the door, but Jahmyr Gibbs, even if he does what Swift did this last year, where he had 100 carries and had 70 targets, that's going to be great for a rookie year for Jahmyr Gibbs. But I think Jahmyr Gibbs can even take that to the next level, especially as he is a first round running back. We're excited about Jahmyr Gibbs. I would not be worried. DeAndre Swift's probably going to be traded any day now. And with Jahmyr Gibbs, we do not need to be upset if David Montgomery is taking the first down touches. Let him go up the A gap 20 times a game. We want Jahmyr Gibbs. We want him catching passes out of the backfield. We want him doing the counters. We want him on the outside where his speed is going to be super well used. So Jahmyr Gibbs is my 106, and I would not harp you if you had him a little bit earlier than this. Let me pause for everyone who saw. I really did like some Will Levis, and RIP to his Superflex Dynasty value, because I thought if he was drafted along with the other quarterbacks, he was still going to be my fourth quarterback off the board, but he was going to be around the 107, 108 range. I'm sorry to say that's no longer the case. So if you had one of these after 106 picks, the value went up because the wide receivers got really great draft capital, but overall the draft after this tends to not be as deep just due to the fact that Will Levis and potentially Hendon Hooker did not get that first round draft capital for quarterbacks. At the 107, we will be taking Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison lands with the Minnesota Vikings, gets to learn from Justin Jefferson. And if we take a moment to remember, KJ Osborne had 90 targets. Adam Thielen actually had 110 targets, and TJ Hawkinson, even though he didn't play the full season with the Minnesota Vikings, had 94 targets. If Jordan Addison can get 100 targets in his first year on the Minnesota Vikings, that is a player that we are easily going to be throwing all of our stock into. And so Jordan Addison was our wide receiver 2 pre-draft. We still were a little bit worried between him and Zay Flowers, but Jordan Addison does get the landing spot. So Jordan Addison is officially our wide receiver 2 in the rankings. At the 108 will be Quentin Johnston going to the Chargers. Now, Quentin Johnston seems to be that same type of body as Mike Williams. It's like, well, they already have Mike Williams. Well, Mike Williams is getting up there in age and having enough weapons on the outside. So especially when injuries happen, because it feels like Mike Williams and Keenan Allen are getting injured each and every year, having those weapons out that can both stretch the field for Justin Herbert just to send it up long, and enough guys that can run after the catch, Quentin Johnston seems like a very valuable add. Now, I'm not taking him above Jordan Addison or Jackson Smith-Njigba, especially considering the fact of the competition that he's going to have there, but potentially has the highest upside in this entire draft based on that landing spot, based on the wide receiver position of where these other guys had landed before him. Quentin Johnston, feel really good getting him at the 108. At the 109, we will be taking Zay Flowers. Now, Zay Flowers lands with the Baltimore Ravens. We know how these Baltimore Ravens wide receivers go. You have Odell Beckham. You already have Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews at tight end. Lamar gets that huge extension, which still boosts him up a little bit in my rankings. But Zay Flowers, we love the prospect, but we also know Hollywood Brown was like wide receiver 24, 25, and we were just like, get this man out. If he were to get the targets, we could see what he would do, and we did see what he could do at the beginning of last season for the Arizona Cardinals before he got injured. Zay Flowers, I think, kind of steps right into that Hollywood Brown role, and we're excited to see what Zay Flowers can do here on the channel, but I am lowering expectations. I have him as my wide receiver 4 after those other landing spots. But if you are the 109, I will be taking a shot on Zay Flowers in the chance that he does have that upside, and maybe him and Lamar Jackson can build a very solid connection that could almost be like a mini Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill type connection. At 110, we will be taking Zach Charbonnet. Now, I know what you're saying. Zach Charbonnet hasn't been drafted yet, but Zach Charbonnet, especially if he lands on a spot like the Cincinnati Bengals, I could easily see him sliding past Zay Flowers in my rankings, but I do not think he will overtake Quentin Johnston as the 108 in my Dynasty rankings. So I think 109 is his ceiling, and we will have to see where that landing spot ends up being. But Zach Charbonnet, we love him on the channel. He's our RB3. He's probably going to get second round draft capital, so he should be going off tonight, and he will be my 110. At the 111, we will be taking Dalton Kincaid, who went to the Buffalo Bills. Now, they traded up to get Dalton Kincaid. We have all seen the potential and flashes that Dawson Knox has. I know there's a lot of target competition in the Buffalo Bills, whether it's from the running backs, from Allen doing the read options, taking it in himself, to Stephon Diggs, to Gabe Davis. But Dalton Kincaid is a very good receiving tight end, and we've all been wondering for a long time what would happen if there was an elite level tight end in the Buffalo Bills offense. Last few years, we've been propping up Dawson Knox. There was even last offseason when O.J. Howard signed there, a lot of us Dynasty analysts were like, ooh, O.J. Howard on the Buffalo Bills. Imagine what you could do with an elite level rookie tight end that was drafted in the first round. Dalton Kincaid at the 111. I'm not a proponent to drafting early round tight ends, so we still need to see a lot of these other landing spots. Maybe a running back gets drafted in the second round that will easily push him up. But this is my instant reactions to these draft landing spots. I will say the 112 is open for me. I don't know where to go with that pick yet because, like I said, we're still trying to evaluate where these guys go in the second or third round because it hasn't happened yet. But these are my overall thoughts as we're running into the middle of this NFL draft, as we're keeping these rankings pretty fluid. Let me know what you think down below. Where did I get this wrong? What would you change? Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be putting out these videos each and every day, trying to provide valuable Dynasty fantasy football content for you all, and catch you guys soon.